Ready.
Got open man. DJ Moore. End zone. Touchdown. Touchdown Bears.
I am Jeff Joniak.
Blitz is on. Down he goes. Brisker.
What was it like playing for Coach Ditka?
I don't want to answer any questions like that.
Pressure coming. He's in big trouble. Down he goes. Montez Sweat.
And now, Bears Etc. brought to you by Miller Lite with the voices of the Bears, Jeff Joniak and Tom Thayer.
One of the highlights of training camp will kick off on Thursday, the dropping of this episode of the Bears Etc. podcast, version number 85 for 85 Super Bowl winning Bears guard Tom Thayer. The Cincinnati Bengals join the party as the Bears wrap up the fan portion of training camp and get ready to meet the Bengals Saturday at Soldier Field. Welcome, everyone. I'm Jeff Joniak, and our Bears Etc. podcast is brought to you by Miller Lite. Obviously, we're taping this before the practice, Tom, but the fact that the Bengals are flying in for this one practice, we always look forward to these joint practice sessions. Weather could be a factor, and that'll be a big part of this whole thing, obviously, but it's great to see another team here to take on the Bears.
Yeah, just continue the process of production that the Bears have had day in and day out of training camp. I really do think there was not a day that there was a setback. I think they got something accomplished every single day. And you know me, Jeff, I'm not in really favor of having no pads. But even when they were in no pads, they got something accomplished. Whether it was mentally, the speed of the game, or just kind of curing some mistakes or mishaps that have happened. So I'm not walking away from this training camp with my head down thinking, wow, this team needs to get a lot better. No, they just need to continue the process of improvement.
Tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. As practice rolled on this week, Tom, the return in pads of Roschon Johnson, Kyler Gordon, Tyreek Stevenson, Nate Davis, Montez Sweat, and Terrell Smith, in some cases limited, but back in pads and getting back out there doing football things after several weeks for Gordon. Still have not seen the return of Jaquan Brisker just yet. Bates is out. Colin Johnson, Noah Sewell, DeAndre Carter still working their way back, but things are headed in the right direction.
Yeah, and it's encouraging. I love seeing Montez Sweat out there. I like watching him during one-on-ones because the one thing about Montez Sweat, when you put him on 11-on-11, you can see the type of player he is and how he complements the other guys on the defensive line and at the linebacker position. But when you put him in a one-on-one scenario, when you know exactly what the drill is and what you're trying to do, that's when he really shines. He's a good football player. He's a good athlete. He's a big guy, and he really allows the Darnell Wrights of the world, Larry Borums, and the different guys he goes against to improve at their skills as well. So it's encouraging. But then, you talk about Jaquan Brisker not being on the practice field. And Elijah Hicks is doing well. He's a guy that's getting fed some reps like we saw last year when there was injuries in the defensive backfield of these guys that are stepping up and they're playing with the first-team defense, and it doesn't look like there's a hole in the defense. So the guys that are filling in for these guys that you mentioned are injured. They're expected to play at the same level.
We haven't even talked about Jonathan Owens. Jonathan Owens played a physical game against the Buffalo Bills. He threw his body around with reckless abandon out there as he returned from France after Simone Biles captured 3 gold medals. He's ready to play football too, and he really had a couple of good seasons back-to-back, one in Houston, one with the Green Bay Packers. So I'm interested to see him in a role for the Bears as well as special teams.
So am I. I'm excited now after I've seen him come and deliver some hits during the game. I'm excited when he gets an expanded opportunity to play in some regular defense. But I think on special teams, he's come in with the reputation of being a quality special teams player, and I don't think it's going to disappoint anybody.
I want to talk something about defense and Austin Booker, Tom. And for that matter, Daniel Hardy. We'll hear him on Bears Weekly on Thursday night as well. After an interview with him, they both had terrific games against Buffalo, and Eric Washington, the defensive coordinator, went in detail the other day about Booker, that he never gave up on his rushes. He says that he's pleased with his approach, physical with his rushes, and that innate feel that you keep referring to about Booker, he sees it. And he said this, and from an offensive lineman's perspective, I'd like your reaction to this. He said, good rushers are hard to hit and stall. They go at it max speed with their counter, and when they engage their hands, they don't slow down and allow that protection to catch up to the rusher. you as an offensive lineman can really feel and see what he's trying to say there. Yeah. Do you see that with this rusher and Austin Booker, who played less than 500 snaps in his college career? So this is innate. He doesn't have a ton of experience. He's only 21 years old.
Right. The word innate. So I want to say something, and it's not disrespectful, because I talked about when you have a guy like Montez Sweat going through one-on-ones, he makes the offensive player better, but he also shows the skills, the size, and the strength that he has. Austin Booker is a better game player than he is a one-on-one player. And I mean that respectfully, because like I said, when the opponent knows exactly what you're doing, he's going to be able to guard everything against what he doesn't want to give up. Okay, I'm not going to give him the inside. If he goes to an outside move, I'm going to try to push him outside so much that he can't get into the path of the quarterback. It's a down and distance, and you're playing regular offense against Austin Booker. He's more effective. That's just what I've seen in the early stages of Austin Booker's career. And again, I'm not saying this disrespectfully. I'm saying it respectfully. And it's kind of what Eric is saying, that when you just allow Austin Booker to go there and play football, he's a football player. He's not trying to follow a script of step 1, 2, slap right, slap left. It's okay, burst off the line of scrimmage, get the offensive lineman off balance, slap his hands immediately, and then I'm in the path of the quarterback. So I'm really excited to watch Austin Booker in the games, probably more than I'm excited to see him in one-on-ones.
And one-on-ones, you're talking about practice.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. Just one-on-ones when, okay, you tell the offensive tackle it's on 2. So then he's going through a cadence, or the offensive tackle knows that he's doing a pass blocking responsibility, and Austin Booker is rushing the passer. Now when you have a whole different scheme and it's an 11-on-11 in a game type scenario, that's when you see the innate ability of Austin Booker to do exactly what we think he's capable of doing.
And I see similar traits in Daniel Hardy. Now, he is a shorter prospect. He's got leverage on guys that are against the Bengals, crying out loud. These guys at tackle are 6'8" across the board, and the depth chart says so with the guys behind them. But he has not had a lot of football in his career. He did not play until senior year of high school. He was a basketball player, but he's been dedicated to the weight room. He's up to 240 pounds. He ran a 4.6 40 out of Montana State coming into the league, drafted by the LA Rams. He's flashing a lot of movement skills and things he's bankrolled here in the year plus he's been with the Bears. Without virtue of a training camp last year with the Bears, he was on the practice squad all year. He got activated for one game against Kansas City. But I think we're just starting to see some of the new things that he can bring to the table.
100% right. I agree with you. He's an interesting character because, the more reps that Daniel Harding can get on the field, the more that he sees run and pass, the more familiar he's going to become with the position of defensive end, defensive line, and he could probably play a 3-technique defensive tackle. And, Daniel Harding, he's played an effective role on the defensive line, no matter if he plays with the 1s, the 2s, or the 3s since he's been here. But now you put him in a game and you give him extended amount of snaps, and he starts showing that he can be a pass rusher. But in order to be a pass rusher, you have to learn how to play the run first. And that's what I like. He's complimenting himself in his maturation process of all the responsibilities of a defensive lineman.
All right, I want you to answer this as an offensive lineman. Okay. I want to go back to Washington. So when a guy coming at you at max speed and he's doing all his handwork and nothing's slowing him down, do you have to have the ability as an offensive lineman to catch up to the rusher? And if you're not, I'm sure it's your feet and your hands are not tied together. Is that what he's referring to?
Yeah, well, my first responsibility as an offensive lineman, Jeff, is get my hands into your chest to make sure I slow down or stalemate or get in control of your upper body. If there's a separation between us and you're already hand fighting against my hands that are reached out, you're in control of me. You're in control of my balance. You're in control of my inability to get my hands to you, and you're in control of your positioning on your next step. So that's the thing why I always say the snap count is a weapon. If I know the snap count and I know that I should be able to get up out of my stance and give you enough of a punch where I put you, gets you off balance, or I put me in a winning position, that I should win the rush. And you have these, Dan Hampton, for example, he's got really long arms. And Dan Hampton is a guy that rushes with straight arms. If he's rushing with straight arms, there's no way I can get my hands to his body because his arms are longer than mine. And you see these guys that have clever skill like Austin Booker, that his feet match his hands. Now he's in control of the offensive lineman, and he's controlling their balance. And that's the worst thing an offensive lineman can have, is when that defender is controlling his balance.
We're brought to you by PNC, official bank of the Bears. I happen to see some 1969 Minnesota Vikings videotape about it was a story about the NFL. And it was actually it was voiced over by Charlton Heston, if I'm not mistaken. It was a great video. I just watched it the other night. I don't even know. Somebody posted it on X, and I watched the whole thing. It was fascinating. No, I take that back. It was Burt Lancaster. Okay. Burt Lancaster. Anyway, the head slap. Okay, yeah. Outlawed. But Jim Marshall, Alan Page, Carl Eller, those guys were unbelievably Deacon Jones, of course. But Jim Marshall, the head slap. And I'm watching this thing. You forget what's been outlawed and the impact. Did you play in an era where the head slap was still legal?
When I played in the USFL, they allowed it. When I played in the NFL, they didn't allow it. But I take this into consideration, Jeff, because our Hall of Fame coach, Dick Stanfeld, used to talk about it all the time. So offensive linemen at that point, they used to have to block with their fists up against their chest. And now you think of the distance. Yes. Then you think about the distance, how defensive linemen could get to you as you are trying to block them like this. Now they're coming and they're head slapping you and they're in control of your balance. And Dick Stanfeld used to say about a guy like Bob Lilly, who's one of the greatest defensive linemen in the history of the National Football League. He goes, I didn't care if Bob Lilly was head slapping me as long as he wasn't going around me. So I just stood there and held my ground and widened out with my elbows. And then they converted and allowed the offensive linemen to start extending their arms with their hands open. And that kind of took away the distance that didn't allow the head slap to happen as much as it did when they couldn't extend their arms.
So you mean to tell me? So for those who don't know, they remember the electric football games and the little player. The players did have their fists up against their chest. I mean, that's how you're supposed to play football. I can't imagine playing football without your hands.
Me neither.
I mean, what are we talking about?
In my whole life, as from Pop Warner to high school to college, they allowed you to extend your arms and, with an open hand, be able to strike. And that's what we're talking about, the pass protection responsibilities. Nowadays, when you look at an offensive tackle going against Austin Booker or Montez Sweat, they want to come out of the stance and they want to pop you in the chest. And as soon as they can pop you in the chest and create that stalemate, or they can be in control of their next move, then the offensive tackle is created the winning edge. And that's why you always see, what is the arsenal of moves for talented defensive ends and pass rushers?
All right, let's sit down with a pass blocker, the veteran left tackle, Braxton Jones, our special guest this week on Bears Etc. All right, Braxton, how you doing, my man? Can you believe how much time has passed already? I mean, we just remember you when you were a rook.
Yeah.
Now you're a vet.
100%. I mean, it definitely flies by, but I think it's been a great opportunity to get the amount of experience that I've gotten every rep, every year. It's just been great. Going through adversity, injuries, and everything, but yeah, we're here, and it feels great.
If I can, do you ever? Because I do this all the time. Maybe you don't. You think back to where you did begin. You kind of take stock of like how far you've come. Do you ever do that?
I mean, I definitely do that frequently. It definitely pops up every once in a while, but try not to, do it too much. But when it does happen, it's a good moment. I mean, it's definitely like, it's been a long journey from, little league from it all, and then getting drafted by the Bears. It's just been an amazing situation, going to a small school, everything like that, and then maybe not having as much expectations coming out and starting. So I definitely look back and thought of a lot of accomplishments, but I think my best ball is still ahead of me, and looking forward to continuing that.
Do you then look at that? Okay, so I've just bankrolled a couple of strong seasons. I started a lot of games already. Do you feel the expectations for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, as just a human being that's wants to be better every time they go out on that field and wants the best outcome for themselves. Of course, you're going to feel those expectations, but it's my job and my duty to make those expectations not as big as they are, or however you see that. Just kind of. It's just how it is. It's
compartmentalize them a little bit.
Compartmentalize and everything into, a small binder, trying to figure everything out and just going out there and performing. Because I know since day one, I know my ability and what I can do. I just got to be confident in it and just continuing to do that and being great, snap in and step in. So,
does it help that you've had the same offensive line coach as opposed to changing a lot?
Yeah, I mean, of course, it creates this ability to have some consistency. So it's been great having the same offensive line coach, and just that's going to help anybody in terms of their experience in the league, not having switching out every year. Just it allows me to be more consistent and get right with my technique and continue to get better each and every year.
Yeah, I would imagine the conversations are great too with Chris Morgan, just because now you know each other very well. You know what would upset him. You know what he likes.
Yeah.
Do you guys have honest conversations, even just non-football? Do you guys get to know each other on a different level?
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I have I would say a really good relationship with my offensive line coach, and just we've kind of, really built that over these first 3 years of just kind of knowing how I need to communicate, knowing how he communicates to me, and just having that best relationship, knowing kind of how he likes things done, and it's just that player-coach relationship, and it's a really good relationship. So, and it continues to build day in, day out.
We keep talking about continuity as the goal, obviously, and then that usually leads to success. But you and Tevin on the left side of the line, that's where your main concern is right now, just who's playing next year, right? And you guys now have bankrolled a lot of time together. Before we get into that part of it, I don't think anybody's changed his haircut more than this guy. Now he's got another one, right? You guys get on him a little bit about that? He's always trying something new. I like his idea, but now he's got another. He rolled out another one today, I think.
Yeah. Tevin's Tevin. I mean, he's a character. He's always changing something, and I think he enjoys I think he genuinely enjoys the light of having something new, because he genuinely does have a lot of changes in his haircuts. But I thought this change was a good change for him, and
a little shorter.
Yeah,
short.
It's definitely way shorter.
Camp cut.
Yeah, he got himself a little fade up there, so I think it looks good on him. But it is funny seeing him go through his phases of long hair and then poofy hair and then a fro. It's just you don't know what you're gonna get, and I think it's kind of cool, year in year out.
Yeah,
he's gonna.
Well, it's like you go on the college websites to look back at your careers, and they have the 4 photos of your 4 years or 5 years or 6 years, and how you guys. You see the maturity in the face.
Yeah.
You go from a young man to a man
in
a short period of time. All right, how about the football aspect of it? Just the unspoken communication level that you guys may have at this moment. Would you say it's at a high level right now?
Yeah. Me and Tevin definitely have a high level of communication, and we've been building this for a little bit now, and I think the biggest thing is I just we communicate about everything, when things go wrong, when things go right. Just having that open line of communication, making sure we're both on the same page, and we dwell on it. We sit there and really try and figure things out, and sometimes we can move on to things quicker than other. But I think it's a good thing to really be looking at both our situations, trying to get the best. Because at the end of the day, it's me and him helping each other to be the best that we can be. And, I'm just trying to help Tevin, too, be the best he can be and get where he's trying to go. So it's a great open line of communication. And, I'm just glad to continue to keep on building that and get better with him always.
So the offense under Shane Waldron in the same family of offenses in the previous system. So please tell me they still got that power sweep with the tackle leading out in front, right? That's my favorite play for you. I know that's been something we've used in the past. So it's an outside zone team, I get it, but I just love the power sweep. Don't you love that play?
Yeah.
Pulling a tackle.
Yeah, no. I mean, and it's there. We have it in different ways, and I'm sure we get to different variations, but it will definitely be there. I mean, when you have two tackles, especially Darnell, so athletic and so big and can get out in space and do a variety of things. I mean, it's definitely going to be there, but can't show all your tricks and stuff soon. But yeah, we'll get there and we'll get that rolling.
All right, here's the $1 million question: why is Braxton Jones better here in 2024?
I would say my biggest thing I've been working on here with our mental coach too is just my mental and being able to put things behind me. In the previous years, being young and trying to be the best I can always. That's my biggest thing is I'm being the best for the Chicago Bears and the organization, trying to be the best for all the fans out there. And that's my biggest thing. And so sometimes I can put a little bit too much pressure on myself doing so. So now, when something does go wrong, being able to reset my mind and being like, okay, next play, let's focus on the pass and not turning one mistake into two mistakes and so forth. So that's my biggest thing is having a good mental. Even today I had a mishaps and a false start and just not turning that into more plays later in practice, just wiping it real quick and just getting on to the next play. I think that's my biggest thing is just my mental and being strong that way and confident in what I'm doing.
Did you tend to slip into that in the first couple of years?
Yeah. I definitely wouldn't say, is that bad or something to, be that cautious of. But it was definitely something where, I'd have one mishap or one bad play and I just turn it into multiple just because I'm trying to get it right so quick instead of flushing it and just being myself and going back up to the line and, getting back into the next play. I live in the past. And I think that's the biggest thing, just mentally understanding that, there's 70, upwards to, 60 to 70 plays in a game. And obviously one play will matter, but being able to flush one of those plays and get to the next. And it's really important in this league because, everybody's so talented in this league and you're going to get beat once in a while. But the thing is being able to eliminate that and be consistent and not turn one tough play into multiple.
Interesting, as long as this league has been around, this is 150th year for this franchise. Once upon a time, they didn't have that option. They weren't made available. Like now, staffs are full of all different types of things to get the most out of a player. How grateful are you that that's now the case here in the National Football League and with this organization?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, it's a big thing. These guys we're all in here working and to be the best we can, and things do happen on the field that, might not go your way. So it's just have those type of resources to go to and build mental fortitude and mental strength and just get that consistency within your mind is huge. And it just has helped me a lot over the beginning of this season and, obviously for time to come. So
did you feel more comfortable now as a veteran to have a larger voice on that line or in just the offense in general? We often talk about having alphas on the offensive line. Do you feel that you can be that person?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, continuously building and I definitely can, have a say in certain things and definitely speak up for the group and being able to lead by my words, obviously. And I think it's a big thing for our group right now is really, maintaining great leadership. As you know, I all feel that we're fairly young and stuff like that. So I mean, it is one of those years to step up and really be that leader for the group for sure.
Can you imagine what the ovation will be when you guys roll into Soldier Field on Saturday afternoon? When if the offense is introduced, not just because of all you guys, but with Caleb Williams, the excitement is off the charts. I imagine he's going to get a nice big verbal hug from the fans, don't you think?
Yeah, no, 100%. And I mean, as he should. He's come in here and done everything, all the work he's needed to do, and he's just impressed everybody day in, day out, and just continuously getting 1% better every day. And that's kind of the biggest thing I've noticed, and all my respect out to him. He does not have a easy job back there. Man, it's definitely a tough thing to do, and I think people look over that sometimes. So, him getting into Soldier Field, I'm sure they'll be there welcoming him, and it'll be great. But he deserves it all, and I'm just excited to continue this journey.
Last one. Do you get a feel yet for how he moves in and around the pocket? Because he's not exactly ejecting just because he's always looking to make a play, and it was no more in evidence that against Buffalo. I'm still trying to scratch my head how he threw a perfect spiral on that 42-yard catch and run by DeAndre Swift, or how he was in midair with his legs dangling in the air and got his body square to throw to Komet on the sideline. I mean, so many good things. I mean, do you guys feel you're in a good pace for the opener to get a feel for the quarterback, and vice versa? Yeah,
no, 100%. I mean, he does a really good. His pocket presence is really good, and definitely getting used to that, and just being in certain situations where he might like to be, and just putting myself in the best position so he feels comfortable in every situation. But in terms of him, making plays outside the pocket, I mean, that's going to happen. He's when he's an elite playmaker like he is, and always trying to get the ball to somewhere, we can make a play. I mean, that's what's going to happen. We're going to be on the move, and we're going to have to be, blocking for extended periods of time. So I think as an O-line, that's, you couldn't ask for more when somebody's just trying to make a play. So it's a great feeling, kind of knowing that he's back there doing that, and it's our job as offensive linemen to, make him feel comfortable and be able to operate anyway.
Well, appreciate your time as always.
Yep.
Thank you. Good luck this year.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Tommy, unfortunately you were unable to join us because I forgot a cord and I was not able to get you on Zoom and into my board. So I apologize, because I left a lot on the cutting room floor with your knowledge of offensive line play, and I'm sure you had plenty of questions. Did he answer any of the questions you would have asked him?
Jeff, and I was thinking of an episode of Seinfeld. There's an episode of Seinfeld where George, he says, you always want to leave them wanting more. So you say something clever in a team or in a work atmosphere, everybody's laughing, then you leave the room. Braxton Jones never leaves me wanting more. The kid is so intelligent. I say kid respectfully because he's so much younger than me. The fact that he tells you complete answers. His vocabulary is second to none. He understands the question that you asked of him, and he answers it specifically and perfectly. And so I don't know if there is any more questions than I would have asked Braxton. I would have maybe asked him, because you asked him early, what's different between you now and when you got here? And he kind of explained it. I would ask, what's the difference in your strength from the time you got out of college to where you're at right now? Are you a lot stronger maybe in your lower body or your upper body than you were when you came out from college? And because that would interest me, because he's always talked about the type of things that he's susceptible to. I don't want to talk about him because I don't like him doing that, but the susceptibility of what he talked about, that can be cured with strength, confidence.
Will you notice that?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. It's, again, going back to what we've been talking about. If you see that punch from him doing a defensive end, and all of a sudden that defensive end, his head pops up or his upper body is stalemated for that instant, you can see that he is delivering a controlled punch to the defensive ends he's playing against. But he also has super talented feet that he can use his length as an asset as much as he can strength.
Quite the congenial guy, no question, so respectful. When he gets to the podium, he greets everyone, wishes them well, thanks for their time. He's like just the opposite of what you would think a nasty offensive lineman would be, but I've seen his blood up on the field, so he's got that nasty twitch to him as well, and that needs to be a part of offensive line play. You have to, and in the trenches, that's where it all happens. But I love the fact that I love sweeps. I don't care what kind. I don't care. You want to pull Darnell across the formation too, that's fine, but a tackle sweep, those are beautiful. And he gets out in space. Braxton can get out in space and do some damage.
There's a lot of pictures that I have because we used to call it 2849 near GO or EGO. And that means me and the backside guard, Mark Bortz, we would pull and we would lead up field. And the front side guard had the first opposite color jersey coming towards his face.
Wipe him out.
Backside,
Wipe him out, right?
Yes. And then the backside guard would pull around and he would take the first inside threat. It could be a linebacker. It could be a safety. And so you had those opportunities of hitting a smaller guy while you were running full speed, and it was just a treat of a play to take Walter Payton, Matt Suey, Neil Anderson, whomever, Dennis Gentry, whomever was behind us, a path up the field.
Well, in this system, obviously outside zone, you're going to have a lot more perimeter runs with guys. And if you've got speed in the backfield, which you certainly do, DeAndre Swift is showing me just how swift he is with every passing minute. We've seen it. He's done it in college and in the NFL. Khalil Herbert certainly can break something off 40, 50 yards and be gone. It's those inside runs, though, that, when you see guys, and we saw it on Hard Knocks and the videotape, granted, some of it in pads, sometimes it's not, and they're not tackling, but Ian Wheeler can blow through the line of scrimmage, and he's a blur. 4.38 speed. Bayless Jones, as he tries to figure out what his role will be, he's got that ability to turn the corner and hit the gas, and now can he do it between the tackles? There's a bevy of opportunities, and Roschon Johnson, he'll just run you over. He just likes running you over.
Let me say one thing about that play. Yeah, Ian Wheeler, he has repetitiously done it enough, so he knows what he's thinking maybe a second or two before it happens in front of him. I did see a play at practice that Bayless Jones took it to the outside right, and you could see the vision where he had to use vision in order to pre-predict how the hole was going to open up. And when his vision took him to that area, once he opened it up, there was no catching him. So that was super encouraging to me, is when you talked about all those other guys that have repped the running back and the running back position and the different plays and how they use them. Bayless doesn't have that experience yet, but you kind of saw him sneaking some of that experience in practice. And when he gets to that second and a half, the third level, right, you're going to become a chaser.
And he's thick. He's not. He's a big back. And he's a big back. He's got strength. Correct. Yeah, he's 6 feet plus and two something. I know the play you're talking about. There was a bit of a hesitation, and then bam. Right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Vizzy Hard Seltzer. Flavors for every vibe. Celebrate responsibly. Molson Coors Beverage Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I got to throw also Travis Homer in there. He is a thickly built dude. He's going to play special teams. He's outstanding at that, but he's getting a lot of third down opportunities, Tommy.
Jeff, when you see all these guys, all of you mentioned, and including Homer, the tight end in the running back position is not going to be an easy decision to make, because that's a talented two position that are instrumental in the overall success of this offense. We know Keenan, we know Rome, we know DJ, we know all those guys. However, there's talented tight ends and there's talented running backs here. So I think that whatever reps they get in practice against Cincinnati in the games themselves, it's going to play it's an important role in the decision-making process of Ryan Poles and the coaching staff.
I am disappointed that, as far as we know, Zach Taylor, we mentioned this in the earlier podcast this week on version 84, that the Bengals are not planning to use most of their starters. That includes Joe Burrow. I get it. Joe Burrow's been banged up a lot in his career, and they want to keep him healthy, but I really would have loved to see him. He got one series last week. I think he had a 12-play drive. Well, what's your feel of the Bengals? Yes, we can talk about the star players of Burrow and Chase and those guys, but we'll be facing guys that are trying to make this team in second stringers.
Yeah, I really don't care what the opponent's decision are about playing time, because that is not in your control. Every single guy for the Chicago Bears, every single play they get, every single assignment, make it a positive. As in your interview with Braxton, he talked about dwelling on some of the bad plays. You don't need to do that. Just go out there and play the most aggressive brand of football against other guys that are trying out for an NFL football team. You're not shipping in a small college team to come and play the Bears on Saturday. This is a group of guys that are as hungry to make an NFL team as there is across the board. So you better concentrate on what you do, and you better do it well.
Tastes like Miller time. Go to MillerLite.com/BearsPod to find delivery options near you. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. Any guess on what the temperature of the stadium will be with the fans when Caleb Williams is introduced?
Gosh, I would almost introduce the defense for this game, and I would save Caleb for the first game of the regular season, because I've been thinking about that all off season, and I know I've asked you about it, and pretty much everybody says the first regular season game of the year, I think they should introduce the offense. So Saturday, I'm introducing Montez Sweat, TJ Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds, and the whole cast of characters that are as flamboyant and confident as any defensive group that I've seen here in a while.
Tom, when you get a chance to watch Hard Knocks, want you to watch.
I will watch it today.
I want you to watch Jalen Johnson and Keenan Allen one-on-ones, in team or other drills. I mean, Jalen Johnson, you're getting a true feel for what his abilities are when you isolate on tape and watch him work, and his ability to move his feet, maintain an ideal separation so that it's not so much that you lose ground and you're in catch-up mode, and his ability to flip his hips and be around the ball on every single target to Keenan Allen is crazy, including one of the best interceptions you'll ever see, and I don't know how it even happened. And the two of them talked about it, how it happened. They have no idea. This is the kind of guy we're getting here who's uber confident and ready to really rock it off. Not just take off. I mean rock it. If he continues to stay healthy and makes plays on the ball like this, they're not going to throw in his direction at all. So Tyreek Stevenson, Kyler Gordon, and whoever's playing DB, get ready, because, Jalen is just shutting it down.
Good. Listen, man, I've been begging for alpha males inside that locker room for a long time now. And I don't care what position they come from, and it has to come from the back of the defense forward, so be it. Because when you look at the division and you look at what your coverage responsibilities are going to be, there's some good players in this division, every single team. And, I don't know if you heard the news that J.J. McCarthy is out for the season, so there's going to be quarterback development there, but there are plenty of athletes from the wide receiver position in this division that they're going to have their hands full all season long.
I mean, wouldn't you have to say that Justin Jefferson is still the best player in the division?
Up until this point. Yeah. This is a whole new year. I mean, you're only good last year. Like, now it's let's all start this thing again.
Yeah, there's plenty to worry about, that's for sure. We're brought to you by PNC, official bank of the Bears. Let's touch on that. J.J. McCarthy, torn meniscus, a repair is necessary, and his season is over. I'm sure fans there are bemoaning that fact, obviously, as they look always to a first-round pick quarterback to make some noise early in their careers. So Sam Darnold and whomever else they have in that bullpen right now will go to work with a very good head coach who knows how to get the most out of his quarterback. So, Sam Darnold hasn't reached his potential, but you never know. You never know. But that's not my discussion. My discussion point is when fans, I'm looking at fan reaction when they hear about a quarterback in particular that gets hurt in his rookie year. Does that make them not want to see a guy like Caleb Williams play in games here in the preseason for fear of losing to an injury?
You can't play scared. I think that's one of the worst things that you can tell your team, no matter if you're a position coach, a head coach, a president, GM, whatever. You can't go out there and play scared. You just go out there and play the game. And J.J. McCarthy went out and played the game, and he didn't realize what happened. He didn't report it until the next day. So it's just an unfortunate incident, and he's fortunate that it happened so early in his career that they will go out there and they will repair it. If that is the long term of the healing process of that type of process in the way they're gonna fix it. And hell, he'll go out there and have a 11, 12, 13, 14, whatever year, career he's going to have. He's, he's going to be fine. And, so you can't be worried about those types of things.
All right. I don't mean to spring this on you as we wrap up, but can you give me three guys you're looking forward to most seeing play on Saturday at noon at Soldier Field against the Cincinnati Bengals, a game you'll hear on ESPN 1000 and the Bears radio network, with pregame getting underway at 10 a.m. Good old-fashioned noon start will feel like a Sunday, Tommy.
I'm going to go again with Velus Jones. I want to see what he's possibly going to offer you. I'll bore you all with an offensive lineman in Jerome Carvin, because as this season winds on and you look for the most valuable game day activations, he's a guy that has real interior skills, and he's starting to show up more and more on the docket. And then, you brought it, John. I want to see Jonathan Owens. Yes. I would like this. I like Elijah Hicks and his opportunity, and I still want to see more rushes by Austin Booker.
Yeah.
Because if he goes into Chicago,
right,
and he gets a sack in a limited amount of snaps, that place is going to go insane.
Mm-hmm. I have him on my list to see if he could do it again. Right
exactly.
After, do it again and just play football. Just play football, react that way. I also want to see Roma Dunze get a couple catches. His first experience, it's a physical NFL. And so you get banged around a little bit on that first attempt. They threw to him in the end zone as well. But I want to see Roma Dunze and see what he's best at, because he can pull away from separation. He's an excellent route runner already. And then probably
imagine if Daniel Hardy has another complimentary game along with Austin Booker. And so whatever their stat line was coming out of Buffalo, if they go and they replicate that at home, it's going to be another positive move in Daniel Hardy direction.
And then I'm going to go special teams and have some semblance of sorting things out in the return game, kick and punt returner. Where are they headed? And try and get as many reps and figure that out as possible.
You're not going to see that creativity until week one of the regular season.
I didn't say anything about the return, about who's returning.
Oh, okay.
Who's going to be your punt returner? Who's going to be your kickoff tandem? That's
you
what
want Torrey Taylor to bang one inside Soldier Field?
Yes, I want the crowd. He'll have a nickname before anybody else on this roster. Right?
Yeah. You know what? So Torrey Taylor, in order for him to really bang one, he's got to be at his own 20, his own 15.
Right.
Because if you put him anywhere else on the field, if you let him bang it, he'll kick it into the end zone. So it's going to be one of those 65-yard, 5-second hangers that is going to have an extended woo by the crowd.
He's going to be a crowd favorite. There's no question about it. All right, Tommy, don't be late on Saturday. It's a Saturday, not a Sunday. Get there bright and early. Get that coffee percolating. We'll be thrilled to be back home at Soldier Field. We've already bankrolled 2 trips and another one to wrap up the preseason next week from Thursday, believe it or not, against Kansas City. As soon as they arrive, they're almost gone. I mean, this is the crazy part of preseason. It feels like you're in it for the long haul, but the games are quick, boom, 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 and then we got 17 days to wait for the opener.
I'm not afraid to admit it. I also thought the Kansas City game was at 7:00 on a Saturday. I didn't know it was a Thursday night. I don't look ahead.
Oh, come on, Tom. Yeah, right. That's you were made that way as a football player. Yes. I get it. All right, that's going to wrap us up. Special thanks To our guest, left tackle Braxton Jones. For Tom, I'm Jeff. Thanks for listening to podcast number 85. That number represents so much significance in Bears history.
That's our Cole Kmet edition.
It sure is. Thanks for listening, everybody. Please subscribe now on the Chicago Bears official app, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Bear down, everybody.